Welcome to the Drama Emporium, where every tale unfolds with a twist of drama. Step into a world where stories come alive, emotions run wild, and the stage is set for adventure. Join us as we journey through the realms of theater, film, and literature, exploring the depths of human experience. Get ready for a theatrical experience like no other. Welcome to the Drama Emporium.
The year is 2345 and the galaxy is in peril. An unknown anomaly has begun destroying entire star systems from the inside out, leaving behind only darkness and a trail of unanswered questions. As humanity struggles to comprehend this new threat, a brilliant scientist named Ariam Beyond assembles a small crew of specialists to investigate. Among them is his wife, Ilara, a renowned astrophysicist, and their two children, Leo and Lily, whose ages are kept secret for the sake of plot convenience. When Arian discovers that the anomaly is heading straight for their home system, he makes the agonizing decision to flee with his family and a handful of loyal crew members aboard the spaceship Stardancer, christened by Ilara and equipped with the most advanced technology known to man. Their mission: to find a new home for themselves and all of humanity before it is too late. This is the basic premise of the Galactic Odyssey of the Brilliant Beyond, or as it's more succinctly called, Super Smart, Super Lost. It's the latest science fiction adventure from author John Scalzi, who is best known for his Old Man E's War series about a future where death is optional and immortality is cheap. Like many of Scalzi's previous books, the Galactic Odyssey of the Brilliant Beyond is categorized as science fantasy due to its heavy use of magic. Unlike many of Scalzi's previous books, the Galactic Odyssey of the Brilliant Beyond was not written by John Scalzi. It was written by somebody else entirely. And if I had to guess who, never mind. Let's just say that this book was not written by John Scalzi because while it is fun enough to read, it's got nothing on Scalzi's usual work. In fact, when I first started reading it, I was pretty convinced that this was one of those AI-generated novels that have become so popular in recent years. But no, this one was written by a human hand, albeit one that seems to be drawing inspiration from Scalzi's writing style. Which raises an interesting question. Why? Why would somebody write a book in the style of another author? My pet theory is that it's because John Scalzi's publisher came to him with a proposition. Hey John, we love your work. You're the king of humorous science fantasy adventures. So why don't you write us a humorous science fantasy adventure about a family of space truckers who have to save the galaxy? And John Scalzi said, hell no, I'm not doing that. And then his publisher said, what about if we just hire somebody to do it instead? And John Scalzi said, that's even more hell no. But if you insist, how about I get a cut of the profits and everybody pretends like I wrote it? And then his publisher said, deal. Now, I have no way of knowing whether or not that actually happened, but I can say with a fair degree of confidence that nobody involved is making any effort to hide the fact that this is basically a John Scalzi book. The cover art even features the author's name right next to the title, which is something that publishers typically only do for authors that are already well established. Now, I can't speak to the quality of the writing because, like I said, it's not my thing, but I can definitely appreciate the balls it takes to put your name on a book that isn't yours. If this were a bad book, it would be easy to just let it fade into obscurity and chalk it up to a failed experiment. But it's not a bad book. It's just not very good. And seeing as the author is willing to attach their name to it without irony, I think the right thing to do is to give it a closer look. Let's start with the premise because despite the over-reliance on convenient plot devices like having a baby conveniently appear at a crucial moment to save the day, it's actually pretty solid. The story of humanity fleeing a mysterious and unstoppable force that threatens to extinguish all life in the universe is a compelling one, and it doesn't take long to get invested in the plight of the characters. Plus, it's got a great cast of lovable weirdos, including a sentient ship, a wisecracking AI, a sarcastic alien, and a bunch of other stuff that's probably best described as chaotic neutral. I mean, there's even a character named Chaotic Neutral. What more could you ask for? Unfortunately, the execution leaves something to be desired. For starters, the prose is pretty basic. There's none of the snappy dialogue or clever wordplay that makes Scalzi's books so enjoyable. Instead, there's a lot of telling instead of showing. For example, instead of having Arian think about how much he loves his family, the book will just tell you that he loves his family a lot. And when Alara is faced with a moral dilemma, the book will tell you that she's conflicted instead of letting her actions show it. This wouldn't be so bad if the writing was otherwise strong, but it's not. Basic prose is fine for a middle-grade novel, but it feels a bit lazy for an adult audience. But the biggest issue with this book isn't the writing, it's the pacing. Now, I won't spoil anything, so don't worry, but basically the setup takes place over the course of about 50 pages, and then the rest of the book is about the journey to find a new home. But here's the thing, they travel for like half the damn book and they don't really go anywhere. There's maybe one significant event per chapter, which means that the story feels unnecessarily drawn out. To make matters worse, the stakes feel artificially inflated. For example, at one point, the ship's AI warns that they only have 12 minutes to repair a vital component before it explodes and kills everyone on board. But then they take 27 minutes to fix it and everyone's still alive. So it's clear that the danger was never real. And that's kind of the problem with this book. Nothing feels real. The characters aren't real, the stakes aren't real, and none of it matters because in the end, everything gets reckoned anyway. And I know I sound like I hate this book, but I don't. Like I said, it's not terrible. In fact, it's pretty fun to read, especially if you're a fan of lighthearted space adventures. But it's also not good, at least not in the traditional sense. It is like one of those restaurants that serves food that is bad but you know is made by a machine. It's the kind of book that you read when you want to escape reality for a while, but you're not trying to escape to someplace special. It's the literary equivalent of fast food, and there's nothing wrong with that. But don't expect it to stick with you long after you finish reading it. Oh, and one last thing. The ending is infuriating. Don't read the last page. Just skip it. I don't care if you're already on the last page. Just close the book and pretend that that is where it ends because the last page is the worst. Seriously, don't even bother finishing this review. Just go back and skip the last page. I promise you'll be happier. Alright, I've been reading science fantasy novels for nearly 20 years now, and I got to tell you something. The world of science fantasy is changing. More readers than ever are looking for stories that combine the excitement of space exploration with the wonder of magic and the supernatural. But where can you find these hidden gems? Well, exactly.